All right, we're back in XLP. Matt Hayes, Joe Cowart, Leon Searcy. Sirs, Big Sirs, This is your guy on the phone.
Absolutely.
Why don't you do the honors?
All right. We've got Coach O on the phone lines right now. Coach and I won championships together at University of Miami. He went out to LSU to win one of his own. I remember you, Coach O, said, Cortez Kennedy, you come off the ball like a bowling ball and butcher knives. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. It's always great to hear your voice, Leon.
Great to have you.
Thanks for the man that you are.
Great to have you on, Coach. Look, Coach, I tell you, I'll be online sometimes. I'll be watching the spring ball at Miami. I see you out there on the field, so I'm wondering if you have that urge to dip your toe back in the water.
Hey, Leon, when I walked on Green Tree practice field the first time, after about 25 years, I smelled that grass, man. It was the same grass, the same smell we had when y'all were there. I got a little fired up, I got to admit it. But you know what? I'm kind of just sitting to the side. I watched two of my boys. They're both young analysts. Mario has been great to me, so I enjoy going to watch practice.
Nice, Coach. Hey, Coach, I'm going to ask you this question. So we had Mario on the show yesterday, and he was telling me about the intensity of practice, the competitiveness on the field. Now, he said remind him of days of old. Now, you were there in the days of old when we got after it. Did you see that kind of competition with the Hurricanes this spring?
I don't think I've ever seen anything in my life like y'all had, Leon. I'll be honest with you. And I don't know if I ever going to see it again. But I will say this. I've seen the talent level get better and better each year. As you know, Mario is a relentless recruiter. We just got committed the number one player in the country. Now, as you know, the better the talent, the better the competition is going to be. So I think the competition level the practices have changed since he's been there. Are they there where y'all were there? Not yet. Maybe some of the time, but not all the time.
So, Eddie, Leon likes to talk about the conditioning he did at Miami, and we'd love it if you could explain the 16 110s that they used to run.
Beautiful. Hey, look, that was Coach Johnson's baby now. hey, Lee, you remember the intensity of that day? That was game day, man. And but our guys trained. Our guys trained all summer, and we used to say the heat is our friend. And in order to be our friend, we need to spend a lot of time with it. And our guys, y'all remember Coach Roll, and we had a great strength coach, and they would run and they would train. And, it was a physical test, but it was also a mental test. Because all the coaches were watching. You had to make it in 17 or 19 seconds. You had to run across the line, no bending over. So the pressure was on. But our guys did a tremendous job of doing it, especially the big men.
Now, Coach, I remember I didn't sleep well the night before. Always never slept well, Coach. Because there's a lot of pressure when those 16 110s. And then Coach is right. Coach is right. The physical, we knew that we were in shape physically because we ran so much. But the mental strain that Jimmy Johnson put on us as far as you had to cross the line, couldn't bend over. Because if you bend over, you didn't cross the line, he wouldn't just give you an extra one. He would give the whole group an extra one.
Hey, and that intensity was set by Jimmy. Leon, when I walked on the field at the University of Miami for my first day as a young coach, and I saw Coach Johnson and his staff coach, nobody had to tell me how to coach again. I got it. It was clear.
That's beautiful. We're talking with Ed Orgeron. We love we play a drop from Eddie O. We have to play it for you just so you can laugh a little bit. But when you think about, Coach, what it was then and what you accomplished in 19 and what it is now, how much harder is it to win it all now versus back then, or is it basically still the same?
Well, obviously things change. I studied Coach Johnson, and I got the blueprint from him. And, I got the blueprint. And, when we went to USC, me and Pete kind of followed. I think Butch had like 7 first-round draft choices. And we followed the recruiting and the blueprint, and then when I went to LSU, I had a chance to put it all together. So I got to give those guys the credit for learning the blueprint of what it took to have a national championship team. Now, I'm not going to say it's harder. I'm not going to say it's easier. But it is different. Mm-hmm. And the thing is different is the NIL and the transfer portal. And I'm glad I coached in the age I coached. And but I told my sons, even though things have changed, now it's time for the guys that are young guys to understand how to navigate through the new rules, the NIL, the transfer portal, to have success.
Now, Coach, I know the landscape with NIL has changed, but I'm a bit of old school, and I can't imagine a kid coming to your office or Coach Johnson's office and say, "Hey, Coach, the way I played last year, I'm gonna need a raise. I'm gonna need a bump in salary."
Hey, it is, it is different. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, I think as the game changes, coaching, it doesn't mean you can't coach them hard. It doesn't mean you have to you can do the same things we did at Miami and LSU. But I think when it gets off the field, you need to be a little bit more flexible to the NIL and the transfer portal. It doesn't mean you need to be like it, but the people that are flexible and can go with it are going to have success.
Hey, Ed, you were very successful as an interim coach at a highly pressurized job at USC. You were very successful at a highly pressurized job at LSU. What now do you think Brian Kelly's going through? He's lost the season opener 3 straight years. They got to go play at Clemson week 1. What kind of pressure is he feeling right now?
Well, I just know this. The expectations at LSU are number 1 or nothing. I mean, that's it. LSU they expect you to win the national championship. Now they don't expect you to win it every year. But Coach Saban won it in his 3rd year. Les Miles won it in my 3rd year, and I won it in the 3rd year. So the expectations are high there. I think he's got a really good team. He's got a really good quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. He's got a tough opener in Clemson. So I think that the expectations bring on a lot of pressure, especially when you haven't won a championship yet. The pressure there is to win the championship.
So, Coach, when you think about that 2019 team, it is so funny. 14 players were drafted off of that team. Jacksonville, unfortunately, we had the bad luck of Caleb on Chason just not panning out here the way we were hoping. But how flipping good was that football team that you constructed, beginning with Burrow and Chase and company?
It was really, the offense. The offense was one of the best offenses that obviously been around. It was because of Joe. But it wasn't only him. We had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, come on, Hey, here was the game plan. First of all, hey, Lee, first of all, if the bus left at 2:30, I rode the first bus. Lee, I used to be on that defensive bus, but I had to wear the first bus to be the head coach. And look, I got on the bus. I made sure Joe was on the bus. If Joe wasn't on the bus wasn't leaving, Lee. I told the bus driver he was early. but the bad thing is, me and him were the first one on the bus anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and we got to the stadium. I said, "Hey, Joe, throw the ball to Jamar. If he ain't open, throw it to Justin Jefferson. If they ain't open, give it to Clyde. Ready, break."
Love it. Hey, Coach, I'm that LSU team in 2019, Coach, is probably the most dominant offensive team in college football history. I mean, what were you able? I mean, because I know at Miami, the one thing that we did that made us successful all those years is that Coach Johnson never made it comfortable for us. He always had something for us to reach further for. I mean, was that your philosophy while you was at LSU?
You said it. At the beginning of the year, I said, we're going to set the LSU standard of performance. It's elite. We only got one goal, man, and that's it. And I expect everybody in this organization on a daily basis to work at an elite level. And it's my job as the head football coach to hold y'all accountable and hold me accountable. And, Leon, you'll like this. I told the best players, expect me to coach you the hardest. And just like Coach Johnson did, you know that. Mm-hmm. So, now, some teams you can say that, some teams you can't, but that team, I knew we had a great team. And so we set the expectations early, and I wasn't going to let go of that rope.
Ed, how did you convince Joey to come to LSU? What was your main pitch to him?
Well, you know, he gets on the recruiting trip and he comes see me. He goes, "Hey, Coach, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear all this recruiting stuff. You're a great recruiter." I looked at him. I said, I held my tongue. You know what I mean? I was like, "Wait a minute. You ain't gonna come here telling me that." He said, "Coach, all I want to do is talk football and eat crawfish." I said, "We can do that." The next morning, we had a football meeting. His dad was in there. You all know Jerry Sullivan works with y'all, Steve Ensminger, me. There had about 10 people in there. And it took me about 3 minutes to figure out that Joe Burrow was the smartest one in the room. And I was okay with that. You know what I mean? And then that night, we go to eat crawfish, and my recruiting, online recruiting girl comes up to me and says, "Coach, they ran out of crawfish." I said, "No problem. Call Boudreaux, my friend. Tell him to cook 40 pounds of crawfish and bring it through the kitchen and put it on the trays, baby." Yeah. Hey, Lee, you got to think on your feet, man.
That's right.
But look, me and Joe had a conversation that night. I said, "Joe, you're going to have to earn your spot here. But I do believe you're the best quarterback on my roster. And I got two receivers. You don't know about them yet. Their name is Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And they're a lot better than what you got at Ohio State. Joe, you come here, we're going to win the national championship." And that was a private conversation me and him had. And I think that he saw that he had the opportunity to do great things at LSU.
What happened in your mind between year one and year two of Joe Burrow in Baton Rouge? Because it was a skyrocket.
We went to the spread. We hired Joe Brady.
Yeah.
We went to the spread offense. Steve Ensminger. Look, we won 80% of our game with Steve Ensminger's offensive coordinator. But we were trying to play at Alabama. We were trying to out-physical them. That year, we didn't score any points. And I went to him after the game. I said, "Steve, we got to go to the spread." He goes, "I'm in." I said, "Let's find somebody that can teach us the spread offense." And Joe Brady was a young coach that we knew of, and we hired him, and he did a phenomenal job of teaching us the spread offense, and that was Joe's baby. You know, we ran some lookovers, and look, hey, we give a fake snap count lead, and if they stayed in the same defense, Joe would shred them, and that was a great offense for him.
Coach, I got to ask you this question: 01 Canes versus 19 LSU, who wins?
Oh.
You know, I get that. I ask that a lot, and you know, I don't know. I'm not gonna pick one or the other. You know, as you know, that game's got to be won on the field.
Oh yeah.
You know, Saturday, a team can win. I know this. That 01 team had a great defense and some great defensive players. To be honest, Lee, our defense wasn't the best defense we've had at LSU, and but that offense was something else. You know what I'm saying? And, and Joe gave us the confidence that we're going to win any game. I think it'd be a hell of a game. I think that's up for people to debate. I'm not going to debate it. I'm just glad we're in the talk.
Okay. Oh, Coach Kelly could use some of that LSU defense on the field this year. All right, so you'll love this, Coach. So Lee put together a mythical national championship tournament, and it was the Cersei Sweet 16, and it ended up being the 19 LSU Tigers, and we called them, like you said, the greatest offense I think any of us have ever seen.
Yeah.
But it was a battle all the way to the end, them and the Canes and the 96 Gators, Coach.
Hey, look, I'm with it. I agree. And look, that's the best thing about college football. Man, we talk about it, we project it, we love it, but you never know until the game's played on the field.
That's true. That's true. Well,
now,
Coach, it's always a pleasure, Coach. I'm glad you came on the show. Always a pleasure. Always good talking to you, Coach.
Man, y'all need me, y'all call me anytime. Utmost respect. Hey, guys, I remember a young Leon Cersei. Man, you had some big feet, Lee, 17 and a half.
Yeah,
I remember that, man. Hey, but you know, hey, Lee, you're a red shirt. I get to coach you on the scout team, man.
I remember
that, Lee?
I remember the scout team, Coach. It was brutal. We was going against the number one defense every day in practice.
That's right. And you become a man there. You remember that?
I remember.
Hey, I was with you, man. Hey, Lee, come on, man. Let's go, man. Yes, sir. All you did was say, yes, sir, and you went as hard as you can. And look at the player you became, man. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, man, all of us together, man. Hey, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I got it rough. I went run down to South Point, 4.2 miles. It's a slow jog. And now I got to decide if I'm going to go to the pool or the beach.
Oh, yeah. That's the best. That's the best.
All right, guys. Talk to y'all later, man.
All right,
Hey,
Coach. You got it.